the first question. Let's say the absence of love.
Okay.
I'd like to heal the absence of love. I think love is the basis of all forms of healing and
Mhm.
all forms of positivity. So that would be my answer.
Okay.
Shimmer as we fall, but we're alive again. So close.
No, I think it's a huge honor when people adopt your songs. You know, it's like shared custody of a child. You know, maybe you weren't planning on it, but sometimes it works out better that way. Maybe that's not a great analogy, but yeah, it's wonderful when people absorb your words or melodies into their life, and I think it stops becoming my own from the second I share it with people. And, it becomes very real for me when I perform it live. You know, it's wonderful to see people sharing songs and playlists and all of that. But when I see them live, actually engaging with the song and responding to the words and the music, that's when it really hits home for me.
Okay.
I've been holding on to hear your voice and feel your touch again. Through the veil.
You don't when you say the word South Africa, you don't immediately imagine a bunch of goths running around, right?
Correctly. Yes.
Being a South African, well, living in the country at that time anyway, we felt very removed from everything.
Mhm.
We were literally at the bottom of Africa, and everything we enjoyed in terms of music and art seemed to be coming from a different place, far, far away. So I think what happens is you try that much harder when you're that far removed. You know, you tend to always you just tend to aim higher and work harder because you're not just competing with your peers, you're
Mhm.
competing with what you perceive the great artists to be and what they're doing. And so I think it gave me a really good work ethic and a desire to be as good as I possibly can at what I do. And then I think that separatism comes through in my lyrics as well, because I think for many people who grow up feeling kind of outcast or removed from the norm, you know, or from what's popular, I think I'd like my lyrics to encourage people like who experience that, you know.
Okay.
Rain is falling in this empty place, just a dream away.
I think it's going to be both, you know. I think that first and foremost, I think that the goth subculture will always be around. I think it's one of these worlds that just keeps, you know, it goes through waves of popularity or of people being aware of its existence even. And that's largely determined by what's happening in the world of movies or popular music or fashion or whatever. People seem to keep coming back to the goth subculture and borrowing little bits and pieces. And I think that actually keeps it alive. I think you need young people to keep discovering any subculture or any culture to kind of feed that culture. So I don't think we're just worn out by an algorithm. I think there's a natural evolution and rediscovery that keeps happening. And as long as we have good artists creating good work, and you know, I think it has a long life ahead of it still.
Voices calling like so many times before, and we're alive again.
Huh. Wow, this is quite an intense interview first thing in the morning. I've honestly never felt limited about writing about anything really. I've never thought, oh, I'd love to say something about this and then not said something. I think I try to be honest with everything that I do, and I think that comes through with the music and the lyrics as well. I don't want to celebrate something that I'm not comfortable celebrating. So, I'm not going to sing about dark, crazy, evil things because that doesn't appeal to me. It's not who I am.
Mhm.
I'm not going to choose to pretend to be something I'm not. I think that there's a lot of theater involved in Gothic music and in all sorts of music for that purpose. But I think being theatrical is not the same as embracing things that are really just not of you, and then trying to channel that. So
close your eyes. I've been holding on to hear your voice and feel your touch again.
yeah, very good questions. Thank you. The emotional climax of it's probably, let's think. There's a song called Prayer for the Song on an album called Tales of Absolution and Obsolution. And it's literally about keeping the song, keeping the passion, keeping the connection, the spiritual connection, keeping all of that alive. And I think that would be the climax. So maybe that album, but that particular song would be the climax. And then the most misunderstood would be the album This Alchemy, which was my most electronic album to date, and it was a huge departure. So that chapter, especially the first half of the record, there's a lot of confusion there. Some people love it and it's their favorite, or it's among their favorite. I love it, or I wouldn't have made it. But that's probably in more recent years. And then to go back even further, there was an album called Roadside Heretics, which was very, very heavy and angry. And that would be pretty misunderstood, I'm sure. I'm not sure I understand it at this point. So, yeah.
Can't you feel me holding on?
Well, the absolute desire was first born when I first saw Elvis Presley sing on it was a rerun of the '68 comeback special, and he starts off in his black leather suit and he says, "You're looking for trouble."
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I was about 5 years old at the time. So that the seed was planted then. It was cultivated by David Bowie a few years later, and he made me want to be an artist, not just a singer. And then Kate Bush made me want to be a magician. and I think even through all of that, I grew up in South Africa, and I didn't have the luxury of just kind of being a musician full time. I had to go and study and do all of that. But I think the moment I heard myself recorded and we made a demo, I was absolutely convinced that this had to be what I do with the rest of my life. So
For another chance to breathe you in again. Through the
yeah, I think anything can be a cliche if it's done badly. I think I don't want to dwell on sorrow any more than I want to dwell on happiness or on spirituality or on political injustice, or there's many things that I think we can write about. I think maybe it's a bit of a cliche to think of goths being perpetually sad and all of that, and maybe some people are and they happen to be goths. I don't know. I have found people in the subculture to be a pretty much the same cross-section of humans that you're going to find in other things. We just got certain things that we prefer, certain tastes and certain aesthetics or whatever. But you're going to have happy and sad and angry and mellow and, loving and irritable and all the different human characteristics I think are present there.
So close your eyes. I've been holding on.
I would sing "Take Me Home" from This Alchemy, the Misunderstood record, and I would tell them not to lose hope. I think it's a song of hope, and it's that's a good way to go.
To hear your voice again.
I'm trying to give you really honest answers, and not because I can be very silly, you see, and I'm tempted to say silly things, but I'm being it's I've just had my second cup of coffee, so I'm feeling quite serious. I think I want to say a mirror and a book. I think that I like, yeah, that's what I would be a mirror with a really ornate, beautiful frame and a really old book that's maybe bound in imitation leather to keep the animals safe. Where would I place it? I think somewhere peaceful, like under a large tree or something like that. In a garden that's not filled with traffic and noise and humans. So people would have to go there to spend time with that and maybe think a little bit about themselves and where we're all headed. Yeah.
Okay.
So close your eyes. I've been holding on.
Yes, a few times. The first time in memory that happened was a song called Icicles, which is on a solo record called Waiting for a Voice, which I put out during the pandemic.
Okay.
And that was a song where it was kind of just like a stream of consciousness and was essentially writing about depression. And I finished it and I thought, oh, I don't know if I can put this out. It's too personal, you know. I think with my solo work, it gets even more personal because it's not dressed up the way I dress things up in The Awakening. And that particular record is I mean, listening to it, it's like I'm sitting in the room with you, just with my acoustic guitar singing to you, you know. So that's one definitely stood out for me, where I thought, let me be brave and fragile at the same time and release that. Yeah. I'm really glad I did that. I think everybody can relate to those feelings in some way, and you know, it's good to know that you're not alone.
Hear your voice and feel your touch again.
I think being true to yourself. I mean, I think if you want to be nostalgic, there's nothing wrong with being nostalgic if it happens to come across that way. You know, I'm always looking for ways to keep myself interested and inspired, and hopefully in so doing, people are interested and inspired, you know. So I think maybe I can be a little obscure without necessarily meaning to be.
Okay.
I love poetry, so maybe being a little more poetic comes across as hiding things. But I think the positive nature of what I do might be misinterpreted or misunderstood. So I don't think it's a hidden message. I just think it's actually a subtext to most of what I've released. I'd like to think all of what I've released, but some of us lose our way from time to time. So I think, yeah, a positive message, a message of love and inclusivity and all of, you know, strength and hope and the good things. I think that people look at the makeup and they look at the way we present it and they immediately assume it's something else, you know. So no, we tour pretty extensively, but the last full tour that The Awakening did, which was all over Europe, was nearly 10 years ago. It was 9 years ago. So essentially what happened is I switched focus for a while more on my solo work, on collaborative work. I've written a couple of books. I've worked on movies and film scores and all sorts of other things. And last year I decided to really put a lot more attention back into the awakening, and I recorded the 12th album, which is the self-titled album, and decided to start actively pursuing performing live again. And I did a little test tour of some countries in Europe just with my acoustic guitar, and they seemed to still like me. So I thought, well, let's get the whole band together and do a full tour next year. And I finally started working with my fabulous friend Louise, who's helping with publicity in Mexico, and it's just been one of these dreams, you know, is to finally play in Mexico. It's been on the list for a long time, and this seemed like the perfect time to try to make that happen, and now it's happening.
Now you see me through the splinters of the past.
Well, it is going to be full of passion and good songs and wild theatrics, I do believe. You know, it's the set will include, it's across the board of songs we've put out over the years, over the decades that we've been doing this. So it's a good mix of kind of the hits and the essential songs and the new songs, of course. And it's a small venue, so it's going to be kind of, I think it'll probably have a very rock and roll energy to it, because that's what happens when you in a smaller space. And
Yeah.
great, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, we just did last month. We co-headlined a festival in Poland, and that was a huge stage. And the rain came down as we started our set, so we all got wet, and the crowd everyone had umbrellas except us, you know. So we got drenched. And the night before that, we were in a really small venue in Leipzig in Germany. And the night before that, a big venue in Berlin. So, you know, no one's hugely famous and popular everywhere. You know, we play small venues and big venues and really big venues and really small venues. It's, to me, it adds to just the beauty of this whole thing. It's a celebration of life and music and art. And we'll go, if we can make it happen, we'll go and make it happen. So I look forward to it, and there's been a lot of excitement online and so on. So I'm looking forward to finally playing Mexico City.
Great.
Just a dream away.
Final words is thank you so much for being so patient, and thank you so much for all the love and support. It really does mean so very much to me, and we can't wait to see you on 26th of September at Foro Bazaro. Yeah.
Okay.
Broken people,